Hi, my name's Doug Capella, and I'm talking to you from Cumming, Georgia, north of Atlanta. Some of you that may have watched my previous videos realize that I'm a realtor, and I wanted to talk to you about a few things today, but primarily I want this video to focus on trying to sell a house. Now, first of all, a very, very high percentage of people, about 80%, start out nowadays searching for a way to sell their house through the internet. And typically they get on somebody's website, and then that company, usually in a random fashion, assigns an agent to them. Now, having a random real estate agent assigned to you is about as effective as having a random doctor assigned to you that maybe doesn't even work on whatever your diagnosis is. Doesn't make much sense. And it's extremely important, especially in this kind of a market, whether you're selling a house or buying a house, that you have an agent that can take care of your needs. Now, when I started in this business, I realized that I didn't have the same philosophy that a lot of other agents did. There's a great many agents that feel like in this area, because they have a license that's good for the entire state of Georgia, that they should try to cover every market and every type of house. And I found out very quickly that's just not practical. So whether I'm helping somebody sell their house or whether I'm helping somebody find a house, I learned that I need to restrict both my territory and also in terms of what kind of homes that I would be helping people to buy, because there's certain areas that I have a great deal of expertise in, and there's other, quite frankly, that I don't have a clue what I'm doing, and I don't want to be all things to everybody. That's not very realistic. So to give you an idea what I cover, I live in Cumming, Georgia, and I typically work everything from Alpharetta, Roswell, and Norcross north along the Georgia 400 corridor, including Duluth, Suwanee, Cumming, Dawsonville, Dahlonega, and most of Hall County. Now, in those areas, I work with lake homes, golf course homes, pretty much any home from about $250,000 and up, and any condo from about $200,000 and up. And if somebody's looking for something different than that, let's say they're looking for multifamily homes, or if they're looking for mobile homes, or if they're an investor, then I'm probably not the best agent for them, and they would be well served to find somebody different, or I can even recommend somebody to them. And by the same token, as a rule of thumb, if they work in other areas, I can't do the best job for them in those areas, because especially when people are moving from one area to another, in particular when they're moving from out of town, they need to know about the school systems, they need to know about traffic patterns, and I don't care who you are, it's very difficult to get the right kind of information about traffic patterns on the internet. Now let's talk a little bit about selling a house. As anybody would know today, unless they've been living on the moon for the last couple of years, we are very much across the country in a buyer's market. And not to sound discouraging, but in all likelihood, this market is not going to get a whole lot better for some time to come. Now, this does not mean that people are not selling houses, especially here on the north side of Atlanta. Plenty of people are selling their houses. However, there's some key things that you have to do. First of all, number one, you absolutely have to price your house right. I have people ask me all the time whether or not they should try to price their house high so that then they can come down negotiating wise, and that's a huge mistake. The reason being that regardless of who you list your house with, there's a little counter in there called DOM, or days on market, and that can work against you. If people start looking at your house, and the fact that you relist it over and over and over is not going to trick any good agent, and they see that your house has been sitting out there for 250 days or 390 days or something like that, there is a stigma that's associated with it. And the truth of the matter may be that you have a wonderful home, and the only reason it hasn't sold is because it's listed too high. Any good agent ought to be able to go to FMLS or Georgia MLS and run the comps properly on your neighborhood and your type of house and give you a very accurate reading on what your house will sell for. Now, it's important to understand, if you price your house too high, it is probably not going to get shown as often as it needs to, number one. Number two, let's say you priced a house at $4.25 and it really should be $3.80. What that means is, even if somebody came here from out of town and they did not have a real estate agent and they didn't know any better, and let's say they loved your house and were willing to pay $425,000 for it, or something over $380, unless they're going to pay cash for that house, the chances are the bank, whoever their bank or lender is only going to appraise it for $380, the same figure that we recommended. That means the difference, anything over that, they're going to have to make up out of their pocket. And truthfully, very, very few buyers are going to be willing to do that. Not only that, but every time you have to lower the price of your house, there is a permanent record kept on computers of how many times you've lowered your house. And if it looks like you started out like one guy did here in Cumming last year, and he started out 90 days before my client made an offer on his house at $370,000, and then every 2 weeks, bam, 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 here he was dropping about 10 grand every 2 weeks. What this made it look like is the man was desperate. And the truth was he had listed his house entirely too high to begin with because his agent just didn't really know what he was doing. And whenever my guy got ready to make an offer, the truth was at $320,000 the house was underpriced by about 10 grand. My client from Florida got a little greedy, made a ridiculous offer, and it ended up with my client not getting the house they wanted and having to settle for their second choice. And the seller got so angry that he ended up pulling his house off the market. So it was a lose-lose scenario for everybody. So that's number one. You absolutely got to price your house right from the very beginning. The second thing is the best people to ever see your house are going to be out-of-towners. You really want to get exposure with people moving here from out of state because, number one, they have a sense of urgency since they need somewhere to live. And number two, they generally have money in their pockets because homes elsewhere are more expensive. So anybody that can get you that kind of exposure is a good person to list your house with. The last thing you want to keep in mind is there are a lot of little tricks that realtors can help you with as far as listing your house and making it stand out. The main thing you do not want to do is have your house look exactly like a whole bunch of other houses because you're going to get lost in the shuffle if that happens, and your house is liable to sit there for an eternity. You must promote your house as being something different from everybody else. And every house has its good points and its bad points, and you want to learn to stress the good points. Now, I'm not going to belabor this video any longer. It's long enough. I've got my phone number and my email address on here. If somebody likes what I have to say and would care to discuss this further with me, if they have a house to sell, or even if they're looking to buy a house, I'd be delighted to talk with you. In the meantime, whether you're selling a house or buying a house, good luck. It is a challenging market, but it's very, very doable with the right direction.